Yes, from head to toe, ladies and gentlemen, we do everything we can to make sure you guys are healthy around here in Western Montana. We want to say thank you to our friends over at Community Medical Center. And today, specifically, Dr. Brent Roster is joining us here as a fellowship-trained orthopedic physician, specializes in the foot and ankle. Hold on, John. I want to blow you out there. Okay, there we go. All right. So, Brent, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
All right. Now, how did you get into the foot business?
Well, in orthopedics, during residency, which is 5 years, you rotate through all the different subspecialties and kind of start narrowing things down. So I didn't really like spine, and peds was okay. Joints, you kind of are doing 4 surgeries, whereas foot and ankle, you get to do a lot of trauma. You do sports stuff. You do arthroscopy. You do big deformity corrections. You do little outpatient surgeries. See little kid from little babies all the way up to kind of last days of life. So it's a nice variety, which I like. A ton of different procedures, and it's complicated, so I like that part.
So what does it mean that you're fellowship trained? Is there like an elf and a dwarf involved?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's goblins and hobbits. No, it just means you do an...
I don't see any ring there.
No, right here.
Oh, it's right there.
He'd be
on the left hand.
He'd be invisible if it was...
Right.
Go ahead, yeah.
The fellowship trained just means you do an extra year of training, so I did an extra year specifically in foot and ankle surgery.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's kind of, nowadays in orthopedics, like 90-something% of people come out and they do an extra year. So then you can subspecialize in orthopedic oncology or trauma or joints or, hand, shoulder, elbow, kind of whatever interests you.
How long have you been at Community now?
I've been here almost 2 years. So we moved out here in August of 2015.
From where?
So I'm originally from Klamath Falls, Oregon, and then kind of bounced all over for training. So went to med school out in New York. Did residency at OHSU in Portland, and then my foot and ankle fellowship was split between it was 6 months at UC Davis in Sacramento, and then 6 months in Reno.
Wow!
So I'm kind of all over.
Traveled.
Yeah, a lot of moving.
You worn out a lot of shoes, so to speak.
Threw a lot of weight too.
So when you're dealing with the ankle, this is something that's popped up in my life, right? Typical of what you were talking about earlier: injury, playing basketball, and I still feel it, from time to time. Is that something that someone could be like, hey? Can it be fixed? I mean, is that something that you encounter pretty regularly?
Yeah, pretty often. So sometimes people sprain their ankle, and 90% of ankle sprains get better, and people are kind of back to sports within 4 weeks. And then there's a certain subset of people that may not have chronic instability, but they may have kind of dinged their cartilage and have a little cartilage lesion that can be painful long term. You could develop kind of some subtle instability that can be painful because you're kind of irritating nerves and different things, and then there's some people that have kind of gross chronic instability that.
Well, it's my foot, so I guarantee it's gross.
Right? Yeah, disgusting.
All right. Now I understand from the information that you sent. We should probably just do a trivia contest. Do we have anything to give away?
Free airtime, I guess.
Free airtime.
There you go.
Anyway, anybody out there know how many bones are contained in the human foot? Anybody? Anyone at all? See a show of hands? No. Anyway, so there are 26, right?
Apparently, yeah. Yeah, I'd have to count them out to think about
it. Can you name them all?
I could probably name them all.
Wow.
What's the most interesting name of a bone in the foot?
Calcaneus, maybe? I don't know. Or talus.
Where's the calcaneus?
That's the heel bone.
Oh, okay.
So somebody had to name all these things, right? So
they're named after Klingon planets, I believe.
I'm sure there's some Greek or Latin component to them. So there's cuneiform and navicular and cuboid.
So what kind of things do you do more often than not see when people walk into or are carried into your clinic, or they have an injury or whatever? What's the most common thing you see?
Kind of depends on the season. So this winter, we had a long, cold winter that was icy. So I saw a ton of ankle fractures, ton of ankle sprains.
From slips?
From falls on ice, yeah. Because most ankle fractures are rotational injuries. So people kind of fall and their foot gets stuck and their body keeps moving, or vice versa. So a lot of those. Springtime, we're getting into ladder season. People are up on their cleaning their gutters. And
hey,
this is your guy right here.
Except I did the wrist, not the ankle. So
right. So we start seeing more, falls from height. So you see, calcaneus fractures, kind of bad tibia fractures. But most commonly, people are starting to get outside. So see a lot of kind of overuse injuries. See a lot of like Achilles pathology, Achilles tendonitis, see a lot of perineal tendonitis, a lot of plantar fasciitis.
Now, I have a friend who has plantar fasciitis, and I can never understand exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically just inflammation of the plantar fascia, which is this strong band of tissue that supports your arch on the bottom of your foot, and it starts on your heel bone and then extends down towards the toes and kind of melds into the other soft tissues. And so it can be real painful. So people kind of classically say, first few steps in the morning, feels like someone stabbed me with an ice pick, and then it feels better. And then if they sit down and get back up, it is painful again and kind of gets worse throughout the day.
So this is a muscle problem.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like it's not really it's not a tendon. It's sort of like a ligament, but not really. It's hard to, I don't even know how to classify that tissue, but it's more of a soft tissue thing. So people come in, we'll get an X-ray, and almost everyone has a little spur of bone right where that tissue starts on the heel bone. And it's, kind of have to redirect people away from, it's not a bony problem. You have that little bone spur, but that's not what's painful. It's the tissue that attaches there.
So even though you're at bone and joint, you also do soft tissue and muscle.
Oh, yeah.
You have to add stuff on.
Yeah, we see skin once in a while.
All right. So when someone comes to you with one of these overuse problems, like Achilles tendon issues or plantar fasciitis, I think I said that event close to what it sounds like. Is it something you can actually train yourself out of? If you just stop using it, will it go back to being normal? Or
Yeah, so a lot of problems in the foot are actually kind of driven by a tight calf muscle. So almost everyone with plantar fasciitis, for example, has their gastroc muscle, which is the big one you can see from the outside, is preferentially tight. So the gastroc and the soleus muscle come together and make the Achilles tendon, and there's this test you can do where you see how much their ankle bends up with their knee bent, and then compare it to how much their ankle bends up with their knee extended. And then almost, I would say, 95% of people that I see with plantar fasciitis have a tight gastroc muscle. So I just have people, do a regimented calf stretching program, and almost every single one of those people gets better. Sometimes you have to do a little, or modify your activities a little bit. There's other stuff you can do too, but it's hardly ever a surgical problem.
Well, if it feels like an ice pick, I'd be modifying to the one-step hop, in
Which
the
is
morning.
what they do, yeah.
Which unfortunately puts pressure on the other foot, right? I mean, the one that you're favoring might get some rest, but then the other one suffers.
Yeah.
So we're up against a break. If you have a question for Dr. Brent Roster, he's here in the studio with us, Community Medical Center, of course, at Bone and Joint, and we'd love to hear from you. If you have a question about your feet, 721-1290. I know we're into running and walking season. My wife and I tested out the walking path around the Fort Missoula Park.
Wow.
Had a great time with that, and I just finished my 10K, my first 10K, and I think I'm going to try to do the half marathon. Probably walking it, but I'm going to try it.
Now, you ran the 5K,
yes,
right?
The 10K.
Or 10K.
I did a combination of walking and running, and to the hilarity of all. So anyway, we're going to come right back with more of Health Talk in just a moment. All right, we're back on Health Talk. 721-1290 is our number. Dr. Brent Roster joining us, Bone and Joint, of course, Community Medical Center. And we have a question from...
We do. We have one on the line, though, so let's take the live call first.
Let's get Jennifer first. Jennifer, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Hi.
Health Talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
I just had a question about, we discovered this year my 14-year-old daughter has flat feet, and she's had some knee issues, and she's seen a chiropractor and a little bit seen a physical therapist. Haven't followed through with that a whole lot yet. She has patellar tendonitis, and the physical therapist said it's probably related to flat feet. I'm just wondering kind of where you go from there and what his suggestions are.
Has she tried any kind of arch support in her shoes or anything like that?
We did try some. We got some at Bob Ward's and put them in her basketball shoes when she was in basketball. Helped for a little bit, and then she felt like it was making her feet hurt a lot.
Like on the bottom, middle part of her foot, or?
Yeah, in the arch.
Now, should that probably be done in your office? Or do you have like special things that you can do?
I mean, it's easy. It's much easier to evaluate someone looking at them, and a lot of times we'll get X-rays to kind of see how their feet and ankles align. So there's lots of different causes of flat feet in kids. You can have like a coalition, which is where two bones don't, or they're connected when they shouldn't be, and that can lead to kind of painful flat feet. You can have posterior tibialis tendonitis, which is the big arch tendon, can be tired. So a lot of times we'll rehab that tendon specifically, and the whole goal is to avoid surgery and make these kids more comfortable. So
just generally, I'm a guy too that has what people might think of as flat feet, but it never causes me pain or any problem. Mm-hmm. Is there anything wrong with having kind of generally flat feet?
No. A lot of people have flat feet, and it sounds like Jennifer's daughter is symptomatic, so it might be worth coming in and just checking her out and seeing if we can't make her more comfortable.
Have you seen a doctor yet, Jennifer?
No. She has. Well, she's seen a medical, just her practitioner, right, and was referred, kind of working with referrals. So Well,
you need to see the foot guy standing right here. So
I think I do.
Yeah, we're happy to see her.
All right, thanks.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call.
So we had a question from Mark. It's one I'm really interested in getting the answer to, and that's like preventative measures for your feet and ankles. He says he's a soccer coach, has been one for 13 and under kids for a long time, and he sees now more and more people wearing ankle supports, maybe not even having an ankle injury yet. Mm-hmm. Is it smart? I mean, what sorts of things work or don't work?
Yeah, that might be a better question for Dr. Amrine. So I wouldn't Amrine's a non-operative sports guy in our practice, but I've never read anything that says, people should be wearing all these braces to prevent injury. I think that, training so that you're not getting injured is probably a better way to go, but there's a lot of people that have, again, chronic instability of their ankle that, need to wear it so they're not getting hurt all the time. But yeah, in terms of kind of wearing braces to prevent injuries, that when in someone that hasn't had an injury, that doesn't make too much sense to me, but I think a lot of schools actually do it.
So what do you mean training to not get an injury? How do you do that?
Well, just making sure you're stretching and warming up and, in shape enough to play a certain sport.
All right, cool.
So disqualified on the last one. Thanks for the hit there. Yeah. When you're talking about the injuries in people with their ankles, obviously you said you deal with every age group. Mm-hmm. But when is like the prime time for people to injure themselves? Do you see collections of certain ages?
Yeah, it depends on the sport, but we like today I've got 2 Achilles tendons to fix after this, so kind of the 35 to 45 range people. You see, I don't think they're both in that age group. In case they're listening, they're probably offended, but you see tendons wear out over time. They become less elastic, and the collagen in the tendons change, so. You definitely see, quite a few injuries in kind of that late 20s to mid 40s range.
The muscles are just getting old and tightening up.
Yeah, so old injuries can kind of catch up to people. Ligaments stretch out over time. Tendons, they don't function the same. They're kind of like springs, and the springs kind of stiffen up.
And this is my age range, 35 to 45. What in the heck do you do at like 75 plus, like Peter?
Yeah, well.
So every day I get this. Yeah, I'm. In case you're wondering, I'm 63, and I'm in damn good shape.
Yeah, you look good.
Anyway, but seriously, it is the running season and walking season, and so what do you suggest for folks who first nice day? Oh, quick, let's get out there and run! And they haven't run all winter or whatever. So what do you suggest for their feet and ankles?
I would say just stretch and ramp up and listen to your foot. So if something's hurting, your body's telling you something, and maybe back off for a few days or perform that activity differently or, less fast.
So you don't want to just run through it and hopefully it'll go away.
A lot of stuff will, but it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on the problem, I guess.
You could really exacerbate the problem if you do that.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What about for runners? You said you're a runner, Peter, and I honestly hate running because it hurts.
I'm more of a stumbler. But
the only time I can run is if I'm being chased or playing basketball, or there's some purpose behind it, other than just moving forward. I've heard things like you should try not to run on cement, things like that. Do you find that there are regular injuries from just running?
There's definitely overuse injuries. I think, I don't keep up on a lot of the other, like knee literature or hip literature, but I think for a long time people, we were telling people, running on hard surfaces leads to knee arthritis. And I just read this study that said that that's total BS. So I think it all depends on the person. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that run every day on cement and pavement that don't have any issues, and there's some people that can't tolerate it, and so they prefer to run on a track, or, you know, they don't like the city, so they run out on the trails. I mean,
how much depends on the kind of footwear you're using?
I'm sure it matters. I don't know a ton about shoes,
okay,
and I don't pretend to know a ton about shoes. I kind of, I get a lot of questions about shoes, and
sure.
I mostly just tell people, people that sell shoes know more about shoes than I do, but essentially look for something comfortable. Like, I don't know anything about the brands. There's a pedorthotist, which is a guy that makes orthotics, that I send the people that I think would benefit from custom orthotics to, and he knows a lot about shoes, and I know he recommends New Balance for a lot of people, but again, I don't really know that much about them.
Okay, well, we're going to come right back. All 4 of our lines are open. If you have foot problems, maybe your mom or dad or your grandfather or whatever has some toe or some foot problems, give us a call. Dr. Roster is here to give us his advice.
Well, yeah, I should ask, since you said you deal with skin and soft tissue and all the other stuff, I mean, when people say foot problem, rashes, all that stuff, external stuff too? Or
I see some stuff kind of in conjunction with other problems. It seems like, most of the toenail stuff they see a podiatrist. So I see a lot of that stuff in conjunction with other problems, I guess people come in and see me for, but yeah. So, I mean, we see it, but
yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more of Health Talk right after this. Oh, yeah. We're back on Health Talk. 721-1290 is our number. And Dr. Brent Roster is joining us here in the studio from Bone and Joy talking about feet and ankles. Kevin, you're on Talkback. Hi. Hello, Kevin.
I don't know. This is Jeff. But
hold on just a second. All right, Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Sorry, what's your name?
Is this Jeff?
This is Jeff.
Jeff, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's on your mind, sir?
I have a foot problem on my right outside portion of my heel. If I do like a calf stretch, it's real intense pain, like real sharp pain. It doesn't bother me like to run or do any sort of exercise, but only when I stretch or get in that particular position where it will be a very intense pain. But again, it doesn't stop me from doing anything, and I don't believe it's the Achilles tendon because it's more around the corner on the heel. So I was wondering if you had any suggestions there.
Yeah, sometimes like the very end of the Achilles, you can have Achilles, insertional Achilles tendonitis, which just means the tendon where it attaches on the heel bone is irritated. And it seems like very commonly people, a lot of times they actually won't complain of pain kind of in the center of the tendon. It'll be on one side or the other. So it could actually be your Achilles. The other stuff on the outside of the foot, there's not a ton of stuff over there. So your peroneal tendons are over there. They're further forward than what I think you're describing.
Okay.
So I'd bet it's your Achilles until proven otherwise.
Okay. Well, I mean, is there any suggestions to, stop that pain? It's really only been about the last 3 months that it's, that I've noticed it. And I do run, like 3 times a week at a minimum, 5 at the max. But
do you stretch your calf quite a bit? It sounds like you're doing some stretching if it hurts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I stretch it out. And if I stretch it out, the pain somewhat goes away. But, again, it doesn't hurt when I run.
Right.
It only hurts if I stretch.
Maybe stretch differently, or I think the best calf stretch is if you have like a little step. You can stand on it with your knees straight and your heel off the back.
Yeah, and then I do that one too.
Yeah, just kind of let your body weight stretch out your calf. And if you're a coffee drinker, I always just tell people, stretch it the whole time it takes to drink a cup of coffee, and that seems to work pretty well.
Okay, that's quite a while.
Yeah, like a nice, long, slow 5-minute stretch. You do that a couple times a day. Usually,
Jeff, I got to get one more call in, okay?
All right.
Hey, good luck to you, Barb. You're on Talkback. Hi. Whoops, there we go. Barb, you're on Talk. You're on Health Talk. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call. I have a question about my left foot. On the arch, on the tendon there, I have 3 lumps, and they don't usually hurt, but sometimes they do. And I'm wondering, my father, he had a bunch of these on his hands and had to have surgery and stuff done several times. Am I getting the same kind of thing going on my foot?
Is it on the bottom of your foot, like along that thick band tissue, kind of on the inside?
On the inside, on the tendon, yeah, of the arch part of my foot. I've got 3 lumps going there now, and they don't usually bother me, but sometimes they become real painful just by walking and stuff. And I'm just wondering if there's anything I can do about that.
So was your dad's problem, was it on the palm of his hand?
Yes, all of his finger muscles or tendons or
Kinda
something
curled up.
got wrapped up and got all curled up, yeah.
Yeah, so what you probably have is called a plantar fibroma, which is essentially the same process as what your dad, it sounds like what your dad has, which is called Dupuytren's contractures.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just this little proliferation of, it's a bunch of nerd talk.
No, we're almost out of time. I hate to do that. Barb, I'm so sorry. Why don't you call Dr. Roster and get in and see him, okay?
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Dr. Roster, give us a contact number, if you would.
Let's see. I think it's 721-4436.
Good deal. It's been a pleasure.
I should know.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for Health Talk. We will be back.